Let me let you in on a secret. Not that close, not that close. You see, fighting game mains are a window to the soul. You see, that character select screen will really tell you a lot about a person. And don't let them tell you otherwise. You see, if you're a straightforward person, I'll see that. If you're a crafty person, you'll see that. If you enjoy oppression, if you like stealing from people, I see that. But the reason why I say all of that is because today we're going to be talking about two of my favorite things. The pirate anime and manga phenomenon that is One Piece, and my favorite fighting game franchise that is Guilty Gear. I'm Strawhat Central, and today we're going to be answering the question of who would the Straw Hats main in Guilty Gear style? First up, we got Luffy. Luffy is known for his carefree attitude, straightforward nature, and his love for food. On top of that, he also has his iconic ability to stretch his limbs granted to him by eating the gum gum fruit. Because of these main things, we're going to go ahead and give Luffy the character of I think Sin is the perfect character for Luffy. And the reason why I say that is, like Luffy, Sin also has really good range, the same way how Luffy can stretch his limbs. However, the thing about Luffy is that although he has good range, he's really a brawler that shines up close. He likes to get into his opponent's face. With Sin, he has a straightforward playstyle of using his far range buttons to make contact with his opponent and then converting that into a dash to get into his opponent's face. I think this straightforward playstyle suits Luffy perfectly because he just wants to get in there and have a good time. He's not really a huge thinker that wants to try to outthink you with technical play. He wants to get in, make contact with you, get in your face, and ring you down and have a good time doing it. If you're still skeptical about Sin being the character for Luffy, the last bonus or icing on the cake I would say is that Sin also has a food buff mechanic where he would eat a random food and get a random buff that he can continue off of for a few seconds. I think that's perfectly fitting for Luffy's love of food and how he actually gets kind of like a power buff or healing nature from eating in between battles and stuff. Next up, we got Zoro, who is the 3-sword wielding stoic vice captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. Zoro's goal is to become the world's strongest swordsman. But other than that, there's a few things you need to know about him. 1, he's super loyal, extremely loyal. 2, he doesn't take any disrespect on him or his crew. And lastly, Zoro gets shit done. He gets the job done. So because of that, the perfect character for Zoro is if you're suspicious, hear me out. First, we got the Lord. They're both one-eyed swordsmen, alcoholics. I can't make this up. It don't get no better than that. Like, what are the odds? Now, gameplay wise, biking is the definition of I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. She has a tether mechanic that ties her opponent to her that prevents you guys from getting a certain distance away from each other. So this turns it into an old-timey 1v1 samurai duel, which I think Zoro would really appreciate and it would fit his playstyle perfectly. This is also accompanied with Baiken having the tools to excel in this range with having really good sword normals and also having a parry mechanic, which means that if she knows that you're going to attack, she could time a parry to slam you on the ground for big damage. I think that this combination of locking your opponent in here with you and having the techniques to deal with it if you know what's coming next is perfect for Zoro. For the next Straw Hat, we have that subscribe button. Please go ahead and hit that. I really appreciate that. It helped me a lot. and let me know that you guys enjoyed the video. Next, we have the navigator of the crew, Nami. Nami is known for her cunning. She is not a powerhouse in the typical sense. How Nami operates is she uses speed and tricks to confuse powerful opponents until she gets away or they're put in a position where they can't fight anymore. One thing to know about Nami is that she loves her some WAP. Before she joined the Straw Hat Pirates, she was known as Cat Burglar Nami and would run it and just rob people blind. And because of that, I think one of the best characters for her is
行くわよ間違いないこの場所で莫大な黄金が私たちを待ってるそれワクワクしてきた狩り私を守るのよ存分に使わせてもらうわよ黄金があるのやだもうそんな大したもんだけど
Nami is through and through a Milia player. And here, I'm gonna tell you why. First off, Milia is rocking the fastest air dash in the game, and she gets two of them. This means that she has extra mobility in the air to be able to choose where she wants to go. On top of that, she also has a fast fall option and an ability to be able to change her jump arc. With these things, she has the best air mobility in the game to be able to get around the screen and dodge and bob and weave. Milia needs this because she also has one of the lowest health stats in the entire game also. So with that, she's a person that she's hard to catch, but if you do catch her, you're going to do a lot of damage to her, much like actual Nami. But the thing about Milia's playstyle is that when she knocks you down, that's when the robbery comes in. This is where Milia players will rob you for everything that you own. And don't let them tell you otherwise. Don't let them tell you otherwise. When Milia knocks you down, she does this move called Tandem Top. And what Tandem Top does is it puts a disc on top of your opponent as they're getting up, so they're forced to block that move. This is where Milia is free to use her mobility options in the air to either set up an attack high or low on either side. This creates a four-way mix-up that in most cases, your opponent's gonna have to guess. You're basically guessing, you're gambling, and Nami loves to gamble. And so this is gonna be perfect for Nami because she's gonna knock you down, and although she's not gonna do a lot of damage, she's gonna repeatedly rob you until you're clean of everything that you have. And this is why I think Nami is gonna be perfectly fit in and at home as a Milia player. We have the sniper of the Straw Hat Pirates, my man Usopp. The thing about Usopp is, of course, as a sniper, he's a ranged dude. He's going to hit you from far away. He's not trying to get in the midst. He's not really trying to get touched. But another thing to know about Usopp is that Usopp is also kind of known as the gadget man on the ship. Usopp will make a bunch of different knickknacks, gadgets, and stuff for people to be able to play with on the ship, and also for him to be able to use in battle sometimes. With that, he can be a little random. You don't really know what you're going to get from him in his fights or in the situations, but he will be clutch in times in which you need him. And with that, the perfect character for Usopp is Faust is a character with great range. Faust has a scalpel that goes full screen basically, and it's a great way of him being able to keep people out. I think this aspect of using Faust's long range will really appeal to the sniper in Usopp. He doesn't want to be in the midst, and he wants to keep you out as you try to find a way to him. And I think that's one thing that Usopp will really resonate with. On top of that, Faust is also an item throw character. So with that, whenever he has enough space, Faust will throw an item and an RNG or random item will fall out. And based off of that, a Faust player has to be able to play off of the situation created off of that random item. I think that this right here would fit Usopp perfectly. With him being a gadget man and being kind of random sometimes, I think that he's going to be able to quickly play off of whatever situation Faust throws out in a way that other characters won't. And I think because of that silly nature of being able to play off of the randomness on the screen and that chaos of what's happening, and even though he's freaking out, stuff is going to work out for him. And I think because of that, Faust is the perfect character for Usopp. Next up, we have the cook of the Straw Hat Pirates, aka Sanji. Sanji has got to be one of my favorite Straw Hats. I really appreciate some of the aspects of his character, how he's willing to go ahead and put himself in harm's way for the sake of his crew and the people that he loves. So he's willing to make those sacrifices, which I really appreciate. He also has some interesting codes that he lived by for the sake of not wanting to waste food and not liking it when people around him are wasteful. And also the idea that he will never use his hands in a fight. Because he's a cook and he values his ability to cook, he would never use his hands in a fight. He would never risk them being harmed. And therefore, he's a kick-only fighter, which I really appreciate. But one thing about Sanji that can also, never really be separated from his character is his lover boy tendencies. Ooh. Yeah, like sometimes his lover boy tendencies can make him pretty cool because he can be a white knight in shining armor. But sometimes it can just make him, borderline creepy or just too much of a joke for the time being. So because of all of these factors together, the character that we're going to give Sanji for Guilty Gear is... I'm not gonna lie, it hurt me a little bit to put this because I enjoy Sanji so much and I think he's so cool. But the thing about it is, I think Ino is going to be the character for him simply because he's so much of a simp when it comes to this stuff. We know how Guilty Gear is with how they design their characters, but I think the reason why Sanji would really gravitate towards Ino is her personality and her attitude. I think Ino would have Sanji in the chokehold just completely. I think he would completely simp over her and would want to just see her win animations. You just want to see her animations on screen. He would spam the moves that would be the most revealing of Ino. He's gonna taunt, he's gonna do all of that stuff. Just because he wants to see her on screen, he just wants to hear her talk and do stuff. Like, that's gonna be who he is. Although he has all of these other aspects of his character, like, being that clutch factor for the Straw Hats, being that secret agent sometimes that needs to happen, doing these solo plays. None of that's really gonna play a role in his skill secret character, man. He's going with who he thinks is hot. He's going with the personality that he thinks is hot on top of that. And that just is what it is with Sanji, man. I think that it's tough. But that's who he's playing. That's who he's rocking. Next up, we got Chopper. Chopper is the doctor of the crew. And I will also put as the youngest on the Straw Hat crew, which also makes him just kind of like the little brother figure of everyone. People like to look out for him. He's really innocent and wholesome, and he's learning a lot from everyone on the crew. It's really wholesome to watch him interact with everyone and watch him soak everything up as a sponge as he figures out what it means for him to kind of grow up and be who he is on the high seas and follow his goal of becoming the world's best doctor. With Chopper being the little brother figure or the little brother member of the Straw Hat crew, he tends to idolize and really admire the things that he thinks are cool. Like, he really rocks with what he thinks is cool. And going off of that, and he will fanboy over it, which I really appreciate about it. And I feel like that's a lot of us, So when he fanboys, this became more of a question of what would Chopper fanboy over or think is the coolest in the game? The character I think that Chopper will end up going with is Chip. Chip is the super high-speed ninja of Guilty Gear, and I think he would really rock with that, especially with a lot of the interests of the things that Chopper has found cool. It's a lot of the things that we find cool, and majority of people, I think the consensus is ninjas are normally have done are pretty cool, and I think Chopper will go ahead and rock with Chip. I think the funny thing about watching Chopper play Chip is, Chopper being the youngest in the crew, he's not really quick to give himself a lot of credit, and he's quick to doubt himself. So I think that watching him play such a fast and aggressive character and watching him doubt himself will be pretty funny, entertaining to watch, because he's like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? But with Chip, you don't have time to do that. You just gotta go. So it's just gonna be funny watching that kind of play out as he's like spazzing and using his stuff, because Chip is also a character that has really low health. So he's going to be tweaking at the fact that, like, yo, if you touch me, I die. Like, I think that's going to be a pretty entertaining thing to watch. And I think if it's... Next, we have the archaeologist of the crew, Nico Robin. Nico Robin's backstory is very much of, while she was 8 years old, she was wrongly branded as a criminal because of some shady stuff. And so the whole world looked at her as basically a demon child. And so she wasn't really allowed to have a childhood. She was spending a lot of the time on the run. Was very skeptical of people, seeing a lot of stuff. She's seen some stuff. And so she's very calm and reserved because that's just like her nature and all the things that she's seen. But now joining the Straw Hat crew, it's allowed her to, in a way, feel safe and kind of have a childhood. So although she's very intelligent, very calm and reserved, when you peek into her mind and her imagination and how she thinks about stuff, it's very similar to Luffy. She has like a childlike imagination and very simple way of dealing with things when it's not serious and it's not, intellectual based. And so she's very much kind of like an older sister figure to Luffy, which I think is really cool. I think that the combination of her past of, being seen as this dark demon child, but then also, turning out to be very innocent and, childlike, at heart and imagination, I think that the perfect character for her will be
代々そういう家系なの。私が生まれた家は、私が考古学者になり、そして世界政府から追われる身となったのは8歳の時。それから20年の間、ずっと世間から姿を隠して生きてきたわ。そうは言っても、子供が一人で海に出たところで生きていけるはずもないし、結局。
Before we get into the gameplay of Zato, I think the main reason of anything of why Robin would choose to play Zato is because she would think Eddie is cute. If we go back to that imagination and childlike nature, she would see like the shadowy figure and all the cool, things he can do and his taunts and stuff. She would just think he's cute, and she would just want to see that on the screen, and she would play him for that reason. If you don't know anything about Zato, Zato is a negative edge character. The best way to describe that is Zato is a character that controls two characters. You have the main character, the main body, and then you also have a little shadow creature that is Eddie. The way that it works, to sum it up, is that when you press a button, Zato does something. But when you release that button, Eddie does something. So the gameplay of a Zato player is mainly the combination of holding buttons down and releasing them at different times, kind of like a piano. That extra level of him being like a very technical and requiring a lot of skills and stuff, I think that would be right up her alley also, because as an archaeologist, she's very intellectual, but also more importantly, Robin has the flower fruit. So what this means is that she can make different limbs sprout out of different places as if they were flowers. So she can make extra hands, extra feet, extra limbs, like anywhere she wants. And so this can make it really easy for her to just hold the controller with extra hands, to make it easy for her to hold down the different buttons she needs to do to play Zato. It's a cheat code for Zato, like literally. It's built into her character. I think that would be perfect for her. And I think that her ability to be able to, use setups and do all this stuff, I think it would be nothing for her, honestly. And so she would just have a great time watching this cute shadow figure do this stuff on screen. And I think that even if we go to the lore aspect of Zato and Eddie being like these dark assassins that are now helping out the good guys, turning over a new leaf, is perfect for her as well. Because, these are these dark, shadowy figures, but here he is, we have this guy twerking and stuff as a shadow. Like, I feel like it's perfect for her. Next up, we have Franky, who is the shipwright of the crew, who focuses on building up their ship, the Thousand Sunny, adding different features of it, and also dabbling in that aspect with Usopp of engineering different gadgets and stuff for the crew. That has become more of his thing than Usopp lately. But one thing to know about Franky is that he has a very big personality. Very big personality. One thing to know about Franky is that Franky is very much a macho. You know, we have all of these cool things going on, abilities, but what Franky wants to do is he wants to grab you and he wants to suplex you. He wants to punch you in the face. He wants to treat this like it's an old school bar gang fight. That's really what he does. Like, yeah, he makes tanks, he makes big things, and he works on himself as a cyborg. But at his core, Franky really just wants to get in here and, you know, brawl it up, man. Like, that's what he does. So I think the perfect character with Franky is
こいつらは今その闇をぶっ倒すために命がけの戦いを始めようとしてやがる。小せえの大した玉じゃねえか。薄汚く巨大な敵に挑むこの勇敢なるちっぽけな軍隊を俺は見殺しにゃできねえ。それでも俺たちにとっちゃドフラミンゴは勝利する方が好都合か。ロギおめえが何と言おうとフランキー好きに暴れろ。俺はやるぞスーパー。俺たちもすぐ行く。すまねえ。
I think Franky would go ahead and pick Potemkin for a few reasons. First, Potemkin is a big dude. Like, Potemkin is a big grappler guy, right? He's not a fast rushing out character just trying to get in your face and do all of this stuff. Potemkin's game plan at his core is he wants to get next to you and he wants to grab you and slam you. That's really what he wants to do. And I think Franky will get a great kick out of that. Like, Franky, he doesn't care if he's getting smacked on the lip and all of that. He doesn't care. He's going to keep walking in slowly and he's going to get to you and he's going to slam you for 50% of your health. I think Franky would love that. Like, he would just get a kick out of the fact that, you know, he's eating all of these things. He's a big, slow dude. And he gets in, he slams you for half all of your health. He's going to be laughing it up, having a great time just with doing that. In addition to that, I think Franky would lose it over like all of the different gadgets and stuff that Potemkin has on himself. You know, Potemkin has these really big normals and stuff to be able to smack people from across the screen and then get in close. And then he has like these gauntlets that also can like shoot and, you know, do all of these different cool things. And I think Franky would really get a kick out of that. And honestly, he would probably try to model a lot of different upgrades on himself and on the Sunny based off of the stuff that he sees Potemkin does in the game. I think he would really do that. He's that kind of guy. Next, we have the musician of the Straw Hat Pirates, Brook. Brook is a man that has soul figuratively and literally. Luffy knew what he was doing when he picked this man up, and I stand by it completely and I rock with it. But one thing about Brook is that this man is a jokester. This man will crack jokes about, you know, him being a skeleton like until you die. Like, he enjoys it that much. But if you're wondering why Brook is a skeleton and he's still alive and things like that, the best way to kind of put it is this is one piece of One Piecing. So what happened was basically Brook ate the soul fruit, and it made it so that after he died, his soul was able to go back to his body for another life. However, his soul found his body way too late. It found his body after his body had decomposed already. And so that's why he's a walking and talking skeleton. Although tricky at first because Brook is a very fast and speedy kind of character, I think Testament will fit Brook pretty nice because at the end of the day, he's a musician. He relies on tempo and pacing, and he's able to read rhythm, fast or slow, to be honest. That's what he does. And going off of that, I think that because he has so much pride in his, skeleton body and the nature that he's in right now, and the spooky aspect of the soul and all of those things, I think he would really resonate with the aesthetic of Testament more than anything. Like, Testament uses a big scythe and can make skulls on the ground and above the ground. I feel like he'll make jokes all day about how that's him. I think he would really appreciate that aspect. But Testament's playstyle is very control based. She has very long range and has the ability to control the screen with her different special abilities. And from that, after she's used those abilities to control the space, she could then either decide to teleport to it or shoot a bird at it to then control that space even further. I think Brook would be really good at this because I feel like he would be really good at reading the rhythm of his opponent of how they would like to approach them. So the moment that person runs forward, they get smacked in the face. The moment that person tries to jump, they get met in the air by the special moves. I think that Brook would be really good at timing, the approaches of his opponent to that degree. So even though it's not really like that speed rush down that you might think that a Brook would rock with, I think that that tempo of reading that opponent would really resonate with him. Next, last but not least, we have the first son of the sea, Jinbei. Jinbei is the helmsman of the Straw Hat pirate responsible for being able to drive the ship for them. He's also a fishman who has the ability to be able to use a lot of really good abilities while in the water. The thing to know about Jinbei is like the honorable uncle of the Straw Hat crew. This man will do the right thing no matter what. Even if it puts him in a bad position, he's going to do what he has to do, be honest, be upfront, and deal with the repercussions because that's just the kind of guy that he is. He's not one for tricks. He's not going to try to get over on you. If he's going to fight you, he's going to do it straightforward in your face. And it is what it is. You know you lost because he was just better than you. That's just how Jinbei rolls. He's not going to do any of the other things because he doesn't need it. Because of that, the character that I will give Jinbei is I think this is the character for Jinbei for a lot of reasons. If you don't know anything about Kai Keese, Kai is basically the all-arounder of the Guilty Gear cast. He has good range and good speed, but he's not really in decent fireballs, decent control over the screen. But the thing about Kai is that he's not a tricky character. He's straightforward. He's going to beat you with fundamentals. He's not going to go and hit you with these tricky setups and rob you like Milia. He's very much like, I'm going to play you in neutral. I'm going to outplay you. Everything I do to you, you could have prevented. I was just better. That's just Jinbei. Jinbei is going to overpower you with just how clean of a player that he is, and not because his character has gimmicks and stuff. With fundamentals, he's going to take you to the corner. He's going to finish it with super. He's going to always do the right thing at the right time. And if it's not enough, he's not going to switch up. He's not going to start doing tricks and stuff now. He's just going to go back and try to be better. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate it. It helps me a lot and lets me know what you guys like to see. In the meantime, go ahead and check out my Chip Adaptability Guide or check out my How to Understand Fighting Games. I think those are two really good videos that can help you move forward onto the next things if you're getting into Guilty Gear or you're someone that's already playing fighting games.